Welcome to week 2 of the training plan. And just as a reminder, even though it says Olympic distance up here, this plan is actually the same, or the weeks 1 through 3 are the same in all of our advanced training plans from the sprint distance to the Ironman distance. So this applies even if you're on the half or full distance or sprint distance Ironman training plan or sprint distance training plan. So this week, just as last week, I just want to make a note that the duration here, 12 hours, 5 minutes, that is based on whether you do all of the workouts or skip the optional run, for example, and how long you do the workouts, whether you remove or add some duration to the workouts with variable duration. This might be anywhere from 10 hours, 55 minutes to 13 hours. So not a large spread at this point, because we want to make sure that the first couple of weeks should be just easing back into training, and we don't want to overdo anything. But we will give you more flexibility and autonomy later on in the plan in terms of the adjustable workouts. Basically, this week's objective is the same as last week. We just want to keep building that consistency and gradually increasing volume. Last week we were at 9 hours 20, now we are at 12 hours 05. And we want to keep adding a little bit of intensity. So we do add that as well, even though the large majority of training is still comfortably aerobic. We basically want to make sure that we don't rush the process of getting back to fitness. And this is also where a lot of responsibility falls upon you, to be honest with yourself about your effort levels, and don't necessarily target any specific power numbers or paces based on your top FTP or threshold pace from last season. Be honest with the effort levels and make sure that the effort levels match the prescription of the workout and the intent of the workout. That is your goal and the key to success in this week. Some workouts to highlight include the endurance speed swim here. I just want to highlight that because you have the optional extra swimming, so another 800 meters of swimming potentially here, of moderate intensity swimming, so basically some tempo-like stuff. And other than that, nothing too different from what you were doing last week already. One thing I did not mention last week, but I do want to mention, is that I have put a lot of effort into trying to write about the purpose of each workout, and even write cues and focal points for different parts of the workouts that you can think about. So make sure that you read all of those things, and if there's any drills or something that you're unsure about, I'll try to put in YouTube links to them as well. Also, remember that the strength and conditioning work is crucial. We have another short circuit, but this week we also have our first long circuit, which is a 40-minute circuit, including some kettlebell work. Ideally, what I recommend to all my athletes is to get an adjustable kettlebell where you can remove plates to make it anywhere from, let's say, around 4 kilos or even less, maybe 2 kilos to 20 kilos, or it might be 5 pounds to 40 pounds might be the imperial measures for that, more or less. But if you don't have that, even just having one kettlebell is fine, and working with that. Or if you have a couple of different weights, and maybe a 4 kilo and an 8 kilo and a 12 kilo or a 16 kilo, that would be great weights to have. So this circuit, the longer circuits that are called strength and conditioning 1 and 2, they always include some body weight work. So in this case, we have some core work and the posterior chain work, and then we move on to the kettlebell exercises, which are to be done explosively in the concentric part. So in the squat, for example, just go down slowly, but in the concentric part, which is the getting back up to standing position from the squatting position, that part should be explosive, and use weights that allow you to be explosive. And then when we're doing this type of work with moderate weights, but be explosively, so that basically the effort is high, you do need to get the most benefit of these workouts to take a long rest. So 1.5 minutes of rest here, this is not a joke. This is what you really should be doing to get the most out of these exercises with weights. And the same goes, of course, for any other exercises you come upon, like the one arm row, and also for the plyometric exercises. They are very explosive. Explode off the ground is your main cue here. And to benefit from this, you need to do them with maximum quality, with really, really high intensity. So that's why we have only 2 sets of 6 reps, for example, with the rocket jumps. with 60 seconds rest between sets. But those 6 reps should be as good as you possibly can, and jumping vertically as hard as you can. So that really is the reason for the rests. The rests could be longer, to be fair, but 60 seconds I think is enough because we don't have a long set of plyometrics, but definitely don't make it any shorter. And the same, of course, goes for the other plyometric exercise there, the scissor jump. Other than that, let me just turn the page here in my notes. So we introduced a threshold fartlek on the run, and here a note. I have, for better or for worse, in all the run and bike workouts essentially included the Training Peaks structured workouts, which basically means giving you a percentage for a given time and so on here and you can also see it here down in the details. But that being said, the master ruler of all the workouts is what's said here in the description. This is where you'll find information about what the effort should feel like, how you should execute the workout, and so on. And here you can, if you actually read this, you see that this is a fartlek run. You distribute the intervals as you please. The aim is just to get in 10 minutes of work at or just below threshold effort. And this means a pace that you could hold for 45 to 60 minutes and 20 minutes of relative rest. It doesn't have to be strictly 1 minute on, 2 minutes off. It could be something much longer. It could even be shorter. You could be doing 30-second intervals. So, or you could be doing some long and some short. You could mix it up based on terrain. You don't have to run this on a flat ground or anything. You can do it on the terrain and go based on effort. So do make sure that you are aware that the description is always the master ruler of what to do in each workout, not the workout details. And in this case, don't be held slave to the 1 minute on, 2 minute off here. That's just one example. And then let's see here. So then we have the optional easy run as well. And this is something that will be quite common in this plan, to have optional workouts that you can choose to do or not to do. And the pre-activity comments explain fairly well how to think about these. If you are feeling fatigue accumulate, or you are just simply lacking time or motivation to do that workout, then that is a workout that you can skip or cut short, and then instead try to just get some good rest, relax, and of course eat and hydrate well so you can have a good quality day the next day instead. You should not feel bad about skipping optional workouts, and in many cases it might be the best thing to do. If you're feeling that fatigue accumulate in particular, then those are your options to get in some extra rest instead. And you know what they say that stress plus rest equals growth, and or stress plus rest equals adaptation. And this is what the optional runs are for. They can be a little bit of an extra stress if you are somebody that thrives on a lot of training and a large training volume, and that's absolutely fine, and that's important. But also, if you are feeling that you are getting more tired, then those are options to, or good options, or even, like I would say, mandatory for you to be responsible with yourself about whether to actually skip them and take a rest day instead. And then for the weekend endurance workouts, the long bike and long run, I would just say that the options to go shorter or longer in duration, they are there so you can adapt to base it on where you are in your progression of your longer rides and longer runs. But you should be particularly careful about the running progression. I would say that at this point in the plan, do not increase duration of the long run by any more than 15 minutes per week. So if in week 1 you did 50 minutes on the lower end here, then you shouldn't do 1 hour 20 minutes now. You should maybe do 1 hour 5 minutes in this week's run, and that would be plenty for you. But on the other hand, if you already came into the plan with a good base, and maybe you had been doing a lot of 1 hour runs or 1 hour 15 minute runs, then you probably started with 1 hour 15 minutes right away. And then this week you could easily go to 1 hour 20 minutes if you feel like it. But regardless of what you have been doing before, don't do anything more than what is prescribed in the upper limits, because that's not going to be beneficial. That's potentially going to set you back so that you accumulate too much fatigue too quickly and don't get the most out of the training plan. Keep in mind as well that next week we will be doing benchmark tests, So make sure that you stay disciplined with not just the volume, but also the intensity, and keep these endurance workouts true endurance, not going too hard, because if you do, then that might actually impact your performance in the tests next week. Good luck for this week, enjoy it, and see you next week.